this thing, man. You're gonna have a lot of fun. All right, go. So here it is. So today we're going to be talking about creating digital real estate. Now, I can tell you that when you're out there creating digital real estate, let me go ahead and turn this down real quick. When you're out there and you're creating digital real estate, one of the things that people keep asking me about is, well, what the heck is digital real estate, right? And we're going to drop into that pieces of information, but I can tell you that one of the good things about constantly creating digital real estate is that it just gives you absolute flexibility. That's one of the key things, is that it gives you a lot of flexibility. And when you can get that kind of flexibility, then you can do anything you want to with your life. And I think if we think about what we try to do anyway, right? We try to do everything we can to work hard, make money, and then get to a point where we can retire. Right now, I've got my own feelings about retiring because I just simply believe that, you know, should we be retiring or should we be restarting? And if we think about restarting in essence is just saying, hey, look, I can do what I want to. I have a different interest now. Now I'm going to go and do that interest, right? And then that becomes a lot of fun. So we'll get started here. I'm going to go ahead and pull up some slides, and then we're just going to run through this and start talking about this digital real estate. And I'm telling you, I'm super excited about it because I'm a person that used to have other kind of real estate. I had the on the ground stuff, and I've um, got a workshop coming up that talks about the difference. And to all my people out there that are jamming in the on the ground real estate space, and I've got a lot of friends that are realtors and people that invest and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, hey, look, it's all good, right? Go ahead. It says send the code via email, Zoom, link in Facebook is not working. Okay, so somebody's telling me that they've got an issue with the one in Facebook, and I'm gonna figure out what the heck is going on between Facebook and these live Zooms, man. So, okay, let me go ahead and get her straight. I send the code via email. Okay, so all right, I'm gonna go ahead and send an email out because for some reason it's not working on Facebook. And I think it might be Facebook tightening up stuff, right? They really like to do that from time to time, at least I found. And when they do stuff like that, man, it just kind of makes it kind of hard for everybody else, right? So it bugs me, but no big deal, right? So we'll go ahead and do that. I'm gonna get her an invitation over here to her email. All right, let me grab that real quick. Invite link. Yep. So now this is the great thing about, and I'll share this with you all, is the good thing about digital real estate is that you can make a whole bunch of mistakes and then you just make up for those mistakes, right? And when you make up for those mistakes, you can do it fast. Well, when I used to buy the big properties, right, I would buy a two family or something like that. Well, what ended up happening was you made a big mistake in buying the wrong property in the wrong area and all that kind of stuff. That thing could be years before you make up for it. And I've had properties where you buy 1 year and then you got to flip that thing the next year because you had no idea what was going on, right, with that area. Sometimes you don't take the time. Sometimes you buy things sight unseen, right? And that's what I'm talking about, the difference. Sometimes you buy things sight unseen. Let me go ahead and get this out real quick. When you buy things sight unseen, like in real digital real estate or real on the ground real estate, then what can happen is sometimes you just don't know what you're getting. And if you got your property management and all that kind of stuff, good, but that's one thing. But when you actually have to, um, you know, do all these other things with the on the ground stuff, like I say, it could take years before the area changes, or it could take years before you can, grab the value out, or immediately upon buying, sometimes things go, the heck in a handbasket, man. So that can be a thing too. So I just wanted to let you all know that I'm not necessarily let me say that again. I'm not necessarily against on the ground real estate. I can see that it has value. Or so let me send this off real quick too. All right. And then it has its value, right? And this is the great thing. It does have its value. I'm not going to tell anybody that it does not. And let me just, get people to thinking that, oh my gosh, it's no longer as any good. No, it has some serious value, especially depending on your financial situation. You know what I mean? If your financial situation is such that you have digital on the ground real estate as a thing that you're doing because you're reducing taxation and all these different things. Yeah, I get it. That makes a lot of sense. And sometimes, hey Santa, go ahead and you can turn yourself off because this is live. Yeah, there you go. And so when we think about the digital real estate and we think about the on the ground real estate and we go, okay, which one is better? That is going to be totally up to you, right? Which one is better? It's just literally going to be what you want to do. I have found, it has been my experience that digital real estate allows me to do all of the same things that I can do in, on, or with on the ground real estate. All right. I'm going to show you that once we go into the slides and we start thinking about, how do I create in this particular space, right? So let me go ahead and send out a couple more emails because people are the link is not working over in YouTube for whatever reason. Some people are having no problem. They're getting in. It's all good, right? And I thought it was Mac because MacBooks, Macs can be kind of funny, but it wasn't Mac. So we'll have to figure that out. But okay, let me go ahead and pop up some slides here because I want to make this as a good, quick introduction, to digital real estate. And then I want to go through some of the things that I use. And I want to show you some things that, man, I tell you, I'm pretty sure that nobody's using these kinds of approaches to create digital real estate, right? So let me go ahead and if you got people on, I'm looking at my YouTube, so I got people on there. I'll try to answer questions and all that kind of stuff too on YouTube if I possibly can. And that's another place that you can get it. So hopefully I want to see if that works too. United Painting Santa, I'm going to see if I can send you this YouTube link and maybe pick it up on your phone or something like that because it should be working over there as well. All right, and that's what I think I might start doing. I might just start inviting people right into the YouTube live stream. That might be better because if it works really, really well, then that makes more sense, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and send that to you and see if it pops up for you there too.
Okay.
All right, so here's YouTube Live's link. Okay, great. And then if that's the case, then if you can watch it there too, that will be awesome. All right, so let's jump into some stuff. Y'all ready to jump into a couple things? All right, for my people on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Let me see what they're saying. They're ready to go ahead and jump in. Okay, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Good, good, good. All
On
right.
YouTube, it just says waiting for Randy.
Okay. Then that tells me that it's doing, and that's some settings stuff that I gotta change. Is it should be live, but the other day it did the same thing, and then it showed the replay. It popped it up. So,
Oh, actually, now I can see you.
oh, you can see me now on YouTube?
I can see you on. I clicked. I didn't click on the link, or I clicked on the link, and then on your picture, like Randy, it says live, and I clicked on it, and it took me to the other page. Now I can see you.
Oh, well, there you go. Some operator error. All right, that's cool. That's cool. That's good. So yeah, go ahead and if you want to watch me there, that would be fine, or you can just leave them both up or whatever. But what I'm gonna do is in the future, I'm just gonna start having people go right over to the YouTube part because sometimes nobody wants to be on Zoom and all that kind of stuff, right? And I'm gonna take any questions that you might have. So that way, you can ask live You can ask questions. So if you do that on Zoom, that will be obviously better because I can hear you. But any questions with regard to this digital real estate stuff, you can go ahead and ask me now because it's a lot of fun and I can really dive into it a lot. So you got any questions before we get started?
No questions.
Digital real estate. So what brought you over to the digital real estate training? You wanted to learn a little bit more about it, or you just or are you just curious?
I'm curious. I never heard about it, but I'm assuming I'm like, oh, there's something for me. So I just here to learn.
Yeah. And I think especially given what United Painting is doing out there in the show up space, right? It is why is it saying private? I see what's going on here. I see what's going on. All right. So it also is a flexibility move, right? And one of the things why I started creating digital real estate instead of the on the ground real estate was so I can have my flexibility back. And it came at a time where I had to take care of a loved one who was, had suffered some problems and stuff, and I had to take care of her until she passed away. And I couldn't go to a job. I mean, I literally couldn't show up because things would happen at home, and I had to like leave all the time and all that kind of stuff, right? And that just doesn't go well with what jobs need you to do, and that's be there. So what ended up happening was I had to figure out a new way to earn a living, basically. And that's when I started discovering digital real estate. At that time, I still had on the ground real estate, but I had to take care of it and all these different things, right? So, and I was like, this isn't working. So anyway, I created things that, and I'm going to show you here in a second when I pop it up on Zoom here. So I'm going to show this. Share my screen here, and then we're going to get into it. We'll get into some of the definition stuff. And let me see, which one is it on? Screen is it on? Here it is. It popped up. Okay, great. And let me make sure that you can see this screen. This digital real estate says digital real estate workshop.
Okay, I can see the screen.
Okay, great. All right, so here's what we are talking about, everybody. So when we think about digital real estate, right? A lot of people says, "What? I know what digital is. I know what real estate is, but the two together." And I'm going to show a couple of examples. Again, I wanted this to be a really quick live stream because I wanted to share as much as I possibly can and then give you things to think about. And then if you want to do more in this space, we can, have a conversation. So here it is, digital real estate. What is it? I'm going to show some examples, and then how do I create it? Just 3 items. Okay. Now, here's what I know about what you're already doing, Santa, is you already create digital real estate when you create that website for your company. That was a piece of digital real estate. I like to say that that's one brick. And if you can create one brick, you can create 1,000 bricks, is my opinion. So it just allows you to do so many different things. Now I created this with ChatGPT and DALL-E's ChatGPT's DALL-E. And this picture right here kind of illustrates it, right? It could be blogs, newsletters. You can sell globally, books, and all that kind of stuff. But in your case, you're creating landing pages and you're creating different websites for your different entities. Those are bricks. And when we create a brick, then we can keep surrounding ourselves with other bricks and create more, and then eventually create the castle and whatever we're trying to build. That's one of the good things about it. Now, here's what it says defined. Defined, it says, well, digital real estate defined is this, that it refers to virtual property or digital assets that hold monetary value. And then it said this can include websites, domain names, blogs, e-commerce stores, and even virtual land in the metaverse, right? Now, that's what a lot of people ran into when they were going in doing all the stuff in the metaverse, right? And the metaverse is still around. It's just quiet right now because other things have come around that have gotten people's attention. But the metaverse is a real thing, and people were creating companies, brands were creating whole different verses within their the metaverse, where whole different cities and communities in there, and it still does that. So that's another one, right? Similar to physical real estate, digital real estate can be bought, sold, and rented for profit. Now, some people were asking me, it says, well, wait a minute, how can you rent out digital real estate? Well, that kind of gets into it a little bit, gets into the weeds, but I'm going to keep it pretty high level and surfacey for today. And then if you want to get more information, just, DM me and I'll show you how to build it. I literally spend a lot of time showing people how to create digital real estate. And literally in coaching sessions, I'll sit and say, okay, tell me what you got. And I'll show you some examples here in a minute. And then I'm going to show you how we're going to build from it. Right. And then I'm going to show some areas, some things that I use right now that are just like, man, people are doing this. It's like, absolutely. Right. So here's another thing. It says the value of digital real estate can be influenced by factors such as scarcity, location, specific attributes of the digital property. Now that sounds very similar to on the ground real estate. Well, and the reason it sounds very similar to on the ground real estate is because you can do all of the same things. Once I found that out, that I can do some of the same things as I could with real on the ground real estate, then it was a wrap, right? I packaged all my on the ground real estate, sold it, and then played the bank for a little while, right? But the main thing is that once I started getting into digital real estate, I started seeing that I could go in so many different areas and niches and all that and not have to spend as much money. That became one of the key things. I didn't have to spend all of this money, right? And whereas on the ground real estate, I had to spend, a lot of money just to get the property. And then you got to make sure you buy right. And you got to make sure all your expenses right. You got to fix it up in a certain way. And you got to take all those calls in the middle of the night and all that. Or your property management person does too, right? But when they go out, then they got to actually, guess what? Do the work and send you a bill. That's all going to affect your ability to make a good living from that. So let's get into some examples. Now, I've just created some examples from things that I already do. And one of these was here is a landing page picture, right? So I had we had with Matamaya, we had an event where we sold that event out, and it was a come in, ask us anything moment. But one of the main things is a part of the digital real estate brick is the ability to send out information to people, invite them to a thing, and then you now have that on a landing page. Whereas on that landing page, you can have other things that you sell. Now, again, in some of the classes and some of the workshops that I do for members, I literally show how to do all of that. Again, today we're going to keep it as surface as possible just to help you understand that that's where the gold is, that there's opportunity there. Another one is, here was a landing page I did for the revenue and income producing activities blueprint. Now, this landing page is a piece of digital real estate that allows people to come in, get something, and then at the same time share with you an email address, which is in essence an asset too. These are some of the other things that we talk about when talking about creating digital real estate. So imagine now your creativity put to work. Now you can be as creative as you want to. If you're going to buy on the ground real estate, but it may not work because somebody else may say, I'm going to pay more for that property. Whereas you say in the digital real estate space, you may go, you know what, I can come up with an idea at 3 a.m. and I can have that thing done by noon. That's a very real thing. Different than on the ground real estate. Now, again, my real estate people out there, I have no qualms with what you're trying to do and the fact that you're selling real estate. No problem. Right? That's awesome. I'm just talking about now, how do we get our flexibility back so that we can travel the globe and just build and build and build, right? So here's another one. And again, I didn't try to get too fancy today because I wanted to just be really, really quick, really, really surface. So I don't have all the right sizes and all that kind of stuff, but don't, forgive me for that. Next time I'll have it all done. But here's another one I had, and this is what I did last week, was I did a marketing workshop. Well, a workshop is a piece of digital real estate. Again, another brick. Now, notice here already, the bricks can be different, but they still can build the same things. Again, if you're watching on YouTube right now, Let me double check over here, make sure I don't have any questions going. All right, let me see. Let me double check here, see who's on a private videos. I see what happened here. I end up making this darn thing private for whatever reason, and it's not supposed to be private. It's supposed to be public. So, let's see if I can change it. So anyway, and that's why people can't get in. They had to. It's held as private. All right, no big deal. Okay, so let's get back to it. All right, so another one I did was a day in the life. This is a series that I got coming on, a day in the life of a digital entrepreneur, right? And I'm just going to be talking about some of the things that we get a chance to do, right? You got podcasts, you got books, you got lives like I'm doing right now, things that you already have seen, right? I could get a chance to work with my spouse. We can do a lot of stuff together, but that's the flexibility that being a digital entrepreneur provides you. That's one of the key things I want to share. All right, another thing is that here is a digital product that I created called 25 Ways to Make Money After Being on a Podcast. This is one of those opportunities, again, where you can show or you can create from just having an idea. And this is something that can make you money when you go out there and put it in different spots where people can click on the button and get paid, right? So in this particular case, what I did was I created I think it was an audio program. I think it was video too. Had some slides, and I just really walked down 25 ways that if you're going to be on podcast, what you can do after you've been on that podcast to earn yourself a good living, right? And that's how I said it, 25 ways to make money. So again, another brick. This one right here is one of my most recent books, is Reluctant Entrepreneur No More. I wrote a book in 2010 called Reluctant Entrepreneur, and it was talking about how people are afraid to start stuff, right? And then some of the things that it was designed to get people over being a reluctant entrepreneur. And then all these years later, I decided to recreate it and said, now you're no longer a reluctant entrepreneur, and some of the things that you need to take those last steps, right? So when we think about, again, digital real estate could be a variety of things. It could be books, like I talked about here, right? It could be books, it could be blogs you could sell globally. It could be newsletters, it could be websites. That becomes what is the power of that. Okay, so let me go ahead and admit somebody else here. All right. Hold on a second. Take a little drink of coffee real quick. Bring somebody else in here. All right. So then again, when we're thinking about the digital versus on the ground, gosh, man, I'll probably get a whole bunch of calls from my friends and say that are in the on the ground real estate space, and they're going to be on me. They're going to be like, why are you dogging out, on the ground real estate? I'm not. Trust me, I'm not. I'm just saying digital real estate just gets you more flexibility. So that's what I wanted to say in that particular way, right? How you can create this stuff. And I mean, being able to have absolute flexibility is key here. Let me double check, make sure some people are great. So, all right, and it is that flexibility that is everything, right? When we can literally get that kind of flexibility back in our life, it means everything. And why I'm so passionate about this, and people keep asking me, why aren't you selling this? Well, I do sell things, right? I'll do sell some trainings and some programs, but sometimes I just want to let people know, especially when it tugs on my heart and I say, I really want to see you get into the digital real estate space because it matters that much, right? So when it tugs on my heart like that, then I'll just start creating things and showing people how to do it. And there's no limit on how I'll show, how much I'll show to just get you into this space, show you that you can do it, and then you start rolling and seeing how you can do it yourself, right? So it can be a lot of different things. This one is, again, I did a workshop on how to do this. Then I just took the workshop and created a product out of it, and then put the product in an area where it can be sold. This one was a book, and it was a book from a previous writing, right? So now you have the chance in the digital real estate space is to recreate constantly. And that's a wonderful thing. And that's another flexibility moment, right? This one right here was an idea that I had that I says, men of color need to really get into self-care, right? And what can you do to get into self-care? So I went and created a quick logo, start putting the ideal out there. People start saying, I think that's a good idea. So now you get a little bit of validation. Now, keep in mind, different than on the ground real estate, and why digital real estate to me is the massive flexibility moment is things like this. Somebody got a question? All right, nothing. Okay, great. And then here's one that I do. This is a podcast that I do every week, me and Robert Heath, right? And Two Business Guys Mastermind. And there's a lot more. I've got a whole bunch more of these things that I create. But one of the wonderful things about getting an idea, like I say, getting the idea and then being able to create from it and then place it somewhere for sale, right? That becomes that massive flexibility moment. And again, I keep going back to that. Can I get life flexibility? Can I get money flexibility? Can I uncap my earnings? All of that stuff, right? These become opportunities for us when we can uncap our earnings. Oh my gosh, that's everything, right? When you get uncap our earnings, then we can make as much money as we want to. And I oftentimes tell people this. I says, well, you can make as much as your creativity and energy will take you. And that's real talk. As much money as your creativity and your energy. So what does that mean? Well, number one, if you can come up with ideas constantly, because it's digital real estate, you can pop it up before the end of the day, right? And that's just a fact, right? Will it work all the time? No. Sometimes stuff you think you got a good idea, it turns out that you do not have a good idea because nobody buys it. But that's not to suggest that it stops you. Because how many times have you seen an old book? And this is what I've been noticing a lot, old books being created into movies, right? So when people are, if the product doesn't exist, then no movie can be made from it. So that's why I'm suggesting to people all the time, create. I want you creating constantly and then place it out there, right? So now you've got this digital asset that you never know when somebody might come and buy it a lot because they maybe want to use it in a different way, right? They want to reimagine it or whatever it is. So that's why I'm saying create books, create podcasts if you want to, create landing pages and websites. There's all kinds of ways, and I'll go into this typically when I'm in if I'm doing like private consultations or if I'm doing private trainings and all that kind of stuff, then I go deeper into it. But all of these different things that you can create right now, this just happens to be an invitation um, on a page for someone to know more about digital marketing, right? This one happened to be something we were doing for an on the ground company that we were running at the time. And, so we had an event at that spot, right? So all of these become opportunities for you. And I think we got somebody that just came in. So when we talked about what is digital real estate, here was the answer here. Digital real estate refers to the virtual property and digital assets that hold monetary value, right? But I talk about it from the standpoint of flexibility. Y'all gonna hear that over and over again. All right. So here's what I want to do. I wanted to, and I see that again, second week in a row. I'm doing all this myself right now because my virtual assistant, I don't know, is taking a break, I guess. I think she might have gotten a job actually. Right. So that's what people keep telling me, that she's got a job now and all that. So otherwise, I have my stuff on point. So, but listen, when we think about all the things we can create from, people don't believe that, well, I got nothing to create digital products from. I was like, oh, yes, you do. You got a life. You live a life. Let's talk about that, right? And create it. But here's some things that I've done personally, old videos that I've created, right? I have on my YouTube channel about 120 some odd videos. and I'm repurposing the thumbnail, I'm repurposing the titles, and I can literally take the videos and create from that because the videos give you a chance to convert them into words. That's one of the things I want to share with you, and I'll go into that here in a second, and then we'll wrap up in about another 20 minutes. But PDFs, old PDFs. Sometimes you have a PDF that you bought. Maybe it's if you ever heard the term PLR products, right? Private label rights products. And I don't really like them that much because some of them, they kind of don't allow you to do all that you want to do. But when you can get something like a private label rights product and then recreate from it, now you've created some digital real estate in your own way, right? So a private label product, now I didn't put that down here, but private label product allows you, private label rights product, I should say, allows you to have somebody else build it and then they just sell it to you. But then they sold it to a lot of other people too. And one of the things I like to mention to people is that, you know what, you can create your own private label product stuff. Once you get going in this, like for example, Santa, you're in the painting space, right? You start creating these videos around how to paint. And we had talked a little bit about that on one of the other ones. You start creating all this stuff around how you do a certain thing. Somebody comes across that and they says, I need to know these techniques because I like the work that they do. I'll buy that. And because you can sell it globally, you never know where somebody might buy it, where they might be. And that's one of the key things in the flexibility of doing digital real estate versus on the ground, right? College papers. I wrote a whole book, and I want to share this with you. I wrote a whole book from literally a collection of different college papers, right? It was some not only college papers, but what I did was I says, okay, I liked when I was writing the papers, I would like to tell stories in the papers. I would do it in the proper format. That's when I learned that I really have a flair for writing and all that kind of stuff. It's because I couldn't stick with APA, so I had to figure something out. And it worked, right? So I would use stories, I would tell stories in the papers themselves, just making sure that I did it in the proper format. So then later on, I had all these papers that I had from college, and I decided to grab them, collect them together, and looked at the stories, and started going, well, wait a minute, what if I put a collection of these together? Could I create a book out of that? And that book is now called Right Where You Are. Let me go over to my Amazon page real quick and I'll show y'all. It's called Right Where You Are. And let's see. It is, again, creates a digital piece of real estate, right? So here it is, Right Where You Are. And it's stories to live, love, laugh, and profit by, right? So now, again, you have a chance. Can everybody see that, or is it on the wrong side? Is it showing up?
Yes.
Okay, you can see it? Okay, great. So again, what you have a chance to do, okay, somebody in the chat here. Okay, great. Yep, great, great, great. All right, so again, old papers, and not only old papers, but it was old stories that I had. I would write things and I would say, you know what? You start this thing, you don't finish or whatever it is. But I collected them and now just put it on a nice little title, Right Where You Are. And it literally speaks to people to write wherever you are, right? And that's where I kind of had the play on words, right? And then another one was a very personal story about, these are our sons and having, a loss, a son when he was young. I, was talking about it was very difficult to write this book because I was in tears as I was writing it. But then it made me think about how do we love our sons while we have them here, right? So it was a personal story, but at the same time, and I decided to just go, okay, volume one, because I can only get so many words out before I was in a hot mess, right? So I did that one back in 2017. Now I can now start thinking about doing volume two, volume three, volume four, right? With more stuff that you've learned and all that kind of stuff. And now here's another one. This is my very 2012. So that was a book I put out in 2012 and then brought it back in and redid it. Let's see if that's in here too. That is, oh, and one of the other books that I did was with a friend of mine, Pastor James Stokes. Now he's a Dr. Stokes. We did this very first book called Living Your New Life in the Word. And then again in 2020, from my first co-host of the Two Business Guys Mastermind, I was able to create from that. So my point is that you have a good flexibility opportunity when you create one thing to create multiple things from it, right? So, and then different price points. Here's one when I was teaching myself how to, write better and how writing just wouldn't leave me alone and all that kind of stuff. It was always saying, hey, shouldn't you be, writing today? And I called it writing is like a jealous lover, right? It just don't leave you alone. So these become digital pieces of real estate, as I had talked about before, that then, all these different things. Now, this is the new one with my new co-host, Robert Heath. Again, talking about things that you can do from stuff that's already done. The hard part oftentimes, everybody, is getting you to sit down and do the work. And I'm telling you, that can be hard for entrepreneurs for a variety of reasons. Now, what I'm suggesting is ways, and this is what I teach people when we're doing private coaching sessions and all that stuff, is I teach you how to do those things. I teach you some tools to use that you may have not seen before, because somewhere out there, the people are telling folks that it's hard to do this stuff. Well, I'm going to tell you, it's not hard. It's not hard, but sometimes it has its points of difficulty because of what goes on in our heads. And this is, if anybody's getting anything from today's live, it is we take the things that are in our head and we put it out there, even if it's not perfect. Right? We have to have almost a bias toward action. And you've heard that term before, a bias toward action. So maybe today is a rah-rah moment. I don't know, right? However you want to pull it in. I just wanted to show you some things that I do and show you that there's ways that you can do it too, right? Getting your digital real estate out there in a variety of fashions. You would be surprised of how much stuff, if you sit down and think about your life, and you think about the things that you do, whether it's the things you do to earn a living, the things you do to raise your family, the things you do to, survive in this world, the things you have to deal with family members, all that kind of stuff, those all become points by which you can say, hey, can I solve this problem for myself? And if I can I create a product around it that may solve this problem for somebody else? And that becomes the key. Then we say to ourselves, the next thing is, how can I do it fast and in the least troublesome way possible? That's the difference between the digital and on the ground real estate, right? Now, digital, you can create that video, you can grab that PDF, you can get those old college papers. And then here's another one, from musings and writings. I can't tell you, when I open up my file and I look inside and I see all the writing starts, well, guess what? Now we have technology that allows us to extend those starts, right? We may say, hey, and I've done this before. I've taken something like my 5x7 cards, right? If you look at these 5x7 cards, I've taken these and I have gone out and then put them in, and they're all kinds of stuff that I think about during the week, stuff that just came to me, whatever it is. And then I go out and I can put them in one of the GPTs, whether it's Bard or whatever. And I says, hey, Bard, take what I'm saying here literally, and I take it raw. This is something that you may not have never ever even heard of being able to do, is I take all those musings and writings, then I put it into, like I say, Chat GPT, or I put it into Bard, or I put it into Copilot, whatever. And I says, make sense of this, because it's a whole bunch of collection of things. Let's say you collect for a week or a month, and then you have all these little pieces of things that you've done. Now you take those musings and writings, put it into ChatGPT, and says, what am I talking about here? Where are there some connections? And then what can I do next? Now, again, when I'm doing some private lessons and all that, and private coaching, this is stuff that we literally go into and do. But if you now start thinking about it from what is possible perspective, now nothing should stop us from being able to create anything that's in our minds and our hearts, sometimes just to solve our own problems. And I do that a lot too, y'all, is I'll solve my own problems first, right? If I says, you know what, I'm getting too many ideas, I says, well, let's start a business to solve that problem. And one of the things I might do to solve that, and in fact, I already did this, is I started a company that is a collection of ideas. And then I spin those ideas up and see how they go. And then I teach on what happened. So that way I don't have to say, oh my gosh, ADD is getting me or whatever it is, right? I don't have to stop it. I says, oh, come on, bring some more, because I can create from it and then I can place it out there, create digital real estate around it, and just constantly create. Do anybody got any questions? I'm gonna take a few minutes to drink a little bit of coffee here and answer any questions. If you don't, we're going to keep it going because again, on YouTube, this is live, and I put it under private for some dumb reason, but that's just me today. Any questions before we move on? Okay. All right. So, okay, I'm gonna wrap it up in a few seconds here. So, PowerPoint presentations. Here's another one that you can do. You can take a PowerPoint presentation and we can go over to a site like this right here. I'm gonna show you this site real quick. Let's see, I use it a lot. Tinywow.com, right? So I go over to tinywow.com and I'll say, okay, Tinywow, I've got a PDF. All right. So, and it says, okay, Tinywow comes on and says, well, what do you want to do? Edit the PDF. I want to take the PDF and put it into Word. Could you do that? Yes. Can you take a JPEG and reverse it? Yes. Can you merge them? All of these things. Now, tinywow.com is free. All right. But when we start thinking about what format the stuff that we have is in, we know that we can do something from it. Here's another one. Let's talk about videos. Now, TinyWow is free because they put all these ads and stuff on their stuff, right? And they don't work all the time. Sometimes their server's down. But anyway, I can take videos. I can take video and put it into a GIF. I can take an MP4 video, put it into an audio format, which is good. So here's a wonderful thing that I like to do is I like to take a video and put it into words, right? So now let's go into this a little bit and I'll show you this, all video tools. So audio to text, right? And then it says YouTube to text, right? So I can take my YouTube video. Remember how I said I had a whole bunch of them, like 120 of them. And now what I'm doing is going through some of the old ones and I'm taking it and I'm putting it in the text format. Once I put it in the text format, then what I can do is create from it. Now, some of these GPTs will allow you to load up a video right into them, but sometimes you got to convert it. So my point is that we then take that video, convert it, put it into a particular format, and now create multiple times from that. So again, the digital real estate allows us to do that and allows us to let our absolute creativity flow, right? So I'll give you an example, is I may take an old video and create a book from it. But first, I want to go into ChatGPT and ask it ChatGPT some questions, right? So I say, hey, ChatGPT, I need your help, right? Okay, they're trying. I see what you got there, ChatGPT. They got all kinds of cool integrations coming into ChatGPT now. Look at this, saying DALL-E, writing, productivity, and all that. And now you can create your own ChatGPTs or GPTs. But anyway, so what I did was I says, I needed ChatGPT to do a particular thing for me. Is I says, hey, I've got this PD or this video that I've created to text. Now what I need to do is I need to have you create a table of contents because I'm going to literally put it onto Amazon for sale as a book. But Amazon requires that you have a table of contents and all that stuff, right? So again, I'll do stuff like this. So my private students, if y'all have seen this, okay, bear with us a little bit. But here's now how I'm using the AIs, your GPTs, then create from what you already may have created. Now remember, video to words to now structuring it so that we can put it onto different platforms. Now, some people don't even know this, how to do this kind of stuff. That's why I said in the video that You're gonna may see some things that you have never seen before, right? So that becomes an opportunity. So I put it into a PDF format, dropped it into GPT and said, hey, GPT, analyze this for me and put it in a proper format based on what we're talking about. Now, that used to take me a long time to do, and I had to pay people to do it and all that kind of stuff, and it just became gnarly. And when things become hard, it's like, man, I'm not doing all that, right? But now I have a chance to do that. Now I can say something like GPT, based on this, let's see what it does. Let's say this is live, based on, let's see if it still recognizes this stuff. Based on this, create, and I'm going to say using Dolly, a image that represents this. Right? Let's see if it still, because this was a couple of days ago that I had this up. Let's see if it still recognizes this information. All right, so it's working, it's thinking. Look at that. Again, we're doing this part live, right? So it then says, okay, I'm listening. You want to create an image from this stuff? It's like, yep. And then it comes up with an image, right? Now the image is pretty, but it's too much. I may not want all that stuff, right? It's like, oh my gosh, visually stimulating, but I don't know what these words mean. So that's where you then can go, okay, that's fine. That looks okay, but it is too busy. Try again and make it less busy, whatever. And then ChatGPT goes to work and says, okay, that's great. I'll create an image. You see how that image is really, really busy though, right? Now, again, what we told it to do is take from here and kind of put it in some kind of format, visual format that makes sense. I'd rather have this business, two people shaking hands, and maybe not this cornucopia of all this other stuff, right? So then what it comes back with is something like this. Okay, not bad. Business targets is talking about business, right? That's getting a little bit better, but it becomes now an opportunity for us to have from words that we've used from an old product that we had, the PDF all the way to maybe a cover for our book. So that's one of the other things from a creating digital real estate perspective that we can do. All right. Now, PowerPoint presentation, half done books, ideas collecting dust in the drawer. Now, if you're like me, you've got a lot of ideas somewhere in a drawer collecting dust, and they're poor ideas. The ideas just wanted to be expressed. They wanted you to let them out of the drawer so they have a chance to go out there and excite people, help people, piss people off, whatever it is you write. This becomes the opportunity from a digital real estate perspective is to bring it back out and start creating from it. And there's a variety of ways that we can start doing this. And again, I'm going to go into that in some of the later videos that I'll do, is going into the how. How do we literally break all of this down? What is the step-by-step thing to do, right? And I'll talk about that at another time. So I want to wrap this up and be respectful of your time today. But one of the things I want to show you before we go, remember how I said that you could take a PDF, and I'm going to show you this right here. Take a PDF. Yeah, I'm still here. And then you can create from it, right? So this one's right here is called, this is a product called LoudDoc. This is some stuff people have never even heard of, right? Like, what is a LoudDoc, right? It used to be called Simply Booklet. Now people may have heard about Simply Booklet, but anyway, so now I had an old PDF and I created from that PDF. Now watch this. So I was able to create something just by using the old PDF that I had. I get in here and says, hey, everybody. All right. And what you just heard is I can narrate over these pages, right? So look at this. In here, I was like, table of contents. And what I did was I created on each page now some audio. So again, an old PDF, loaded up into this kind of program, create from this kind of program. Let's see what page 3, page 4. So now you have a chance with this kind of programs to narrate over it. So now you can take an old product and make it fresh by literally putting it into a, and y'all know I love software, right? Put it into a piece of software and create from it. Now I know when I bought this, it only cost me maybe like, 60, $70. But now from 60 or $70, I can take this and share it and then ask people to buy it. That becomes the power of, again, the digital real estate. Creating digital real estate becomes everything because it gives you that kind of flexibility. Now, what I typically like to do, everybody, is because we don't have a lot of people in today, and obviously I messed up on making it live on YouTube. I made it up private. Afterwards, it'll open up. But if you got any questions on this, now's the time. Ask me anything, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up for today. And I'll be doing these probably every weekend. I'm deciding to do a webinar a week on a particular subject matter in this kind of series, right? And I may just stick with digital real estate for a while, and hopefully I'll get the technology part right so that people can get in. And I know, Sante, you said, so last week people said they had no problem getting in, right? And then it was like maybe 2 people that the link for whatever reason didn't work. When you went to it, what did the link say when you clicked on it in Facebook? Unmute your mic, Santa. All right.
I'm sorry. Okay, there we
So
go.
when you clicked on the link, what did it say when it was when you were in Facebook? What did the link say?
Oh, um, so it just says Zoom is not supported on this device or on this browser.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's what I said.
All right. So it must be the browser you're using. What you don't use Chrome then, do you?
Yeah, that's where I used Chrome.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So oftentimes that could be the case. But then you eventually got in because I was able to send it on email and it came.
Yes.
That's weird. That's
Yeah,
weird.
the both of the events that you had last week and this week, you sent the email, it goes through Zoom,
Ah,
but yeah.
that's you know what, that might be some Facebook stuff, right? So I'm so fed up with Facebook anyway. That's another story. But anyway, so this is how I think I'm gonna be rolling these out every week. And then again, I've got different subject matters that we'll be going into each week. And again, I typically like to do them live like this on YouTube as well. But it depends on how YouTube is functioning with my technology here, and if I can get it straight, or if I can get my virtual assistant back, then they can do all this stuff for me. But anyway, so again, as we wrap up, this is the conversation around digital real estate. Now, each week, what I'll do is I'll go into different things. The wonderful thing about creating digital real estate is that as stuff comes up, new stuff in life, right? We got new technology, we got the AI, chat GPTs, and all that kind of stuff. Well, we can respond to that thing based on our stuff and ask a question of how can I use this in my business? And that's what this digital real estate space allows us to do, is connect things, find out how to connect things first. And this is what I'll be teaching on all the time, is how to connect them. And then how do we, put it into our life and monetize it, right? Bring it into our business and monetize it. All these kind of things. And I come up with techniques all the time. Every day, this is what I do, is I'll learn something, create from it, and then find the means by which to get paid for it. In this case, I'm just giving it away, but creating from it. And this is all the kind of stuff that I want to share with everybody else. So if you got any questions, that's awesome. Let's go ahead and ask those questions. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Any questions before we go? Let me see some hands over here. We got anything? And then I'll go ahead and wrap this session up. Is everybody good?
Yeah, I don't have any question. I'm just trying to wrap my mind of digital real estate, and I knew that would exist. But good to know.
Good, good. And like I say, just keep on as we think more about it and I start doing more of these kind of lessons, and I'll probably do some, automated lessons that break it out even more. But understanding now there's the on the ground, then there's digital, and that you have flexibility that you can use in one area, right? And that's why I say I've invest everything and all my time and stuff like that into digital real estate because it just allows me flexibility and it's unlimited. All right. I can imagine having 52 properties, or I can imagine having 52 digital properties that I can do the same thing with. That's one of the key components, right? With on the ground real estate, I remember I had a whole bunch of them and it was a boy. I was getting calls all the time. I, go, oh, you gotta, get rent from people and then people don't pay. You gotta take them to court and all that kind of stuff, right? Whereas here, you just have different flexibility. And that's one of the key things I wanted to share. All right. Any other questions? Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. And I'll be, like I say, doing some more of these. I like to add things to these kinds of workshops. So sometimes I'll package some. I'll go, okay, I did this last week and put this together. Let's go ahead and make it longer and all that. And then I'll put that in maybe an automated fashion. So I see I got a question coming in here. Let's see. Good. Thank you. Awesome. Awesome. All right. All right. We'll talk to you next time, y'all.